gonna give a little narration of the mobile saw job. Just trying to give a sense of what people can achieve if you get good at sawing, and you know, and you got good equipment and pretty good help and everything. This saw job we did, we had about an hour drive. We got there about 7:30. We got set up and everything. We probably got started sawing 8:15. We took a 30-minute lunch. We was done at 5:30 that evening, I believe. And we had the meal packed up and everything by 6 o'clock, ready to go. Give the customer bill. We charged him for 10 hours. And just did it like that. But in that length of time, 10 hours, just say 10 hours, because I started at 8 o'clock that morning, I said, and ended at 6, because I knocked 30 minutes off for lunch. We may have took 30 minutes, we may have took 45, I don't know. We took a couple little few minute breaks, but I normally don't knock off for that. They get a very good deal with us. But in that 10 hours, we charged him $1,200, $120 an hour for me and a helper. We sawed, I just pull a tape measure and measure stacks of wood. You know, they'll be 3 foot wide, 2 foot tall, so on and so forth. We sawed all 2x6s and 2x4s, 16 feet long. There's some 12 foot long stuff. We sawed one log into complete stacking strips. They was 1.5 inches by 1 inch thick. And we sawed one log that's 16 foot long also, that was all 4x4 dunnage, or 3.5 by 3.5, you know. But I estimated it, I measured and got pretty close. I was thinking we did about 4,000 board foot, but whenever I measured, I come up with 4,200 board foot. And I don't think that counted 2 little hardwood logs we sawed. Well, I say little, I mean we got 2 6x6s out of one and a 9x9 out the other. They just wanted as many. I told them, you know, center to pith, which I centered the pith on one 6x6 and the 9x9, but we got another 6x6 out of it also, plus some 1 inch stuff. But that was like 4,200 board foot. I told him, you know, if I charge you 40 cents a board foot, that'd have been $1,600. But, you know, you do the math on it, just say 10 hours, you know, that's 420 board foot an hour. We probably really was doing more than that. And that's with a lt40 wide. You got good logs. These are all good logs. They were 20, 25 inches, pretty straight. We didn't really have any crooked logs. We had a few swelled butts and all, but really good logs. So that helped us walk through real good. But you'll see some videos on it, just little snippets. I just pull my phone out and do it. I'll put a few pictures in of the 2x4s and 2x6s and all. Like the logs we saw in 2x4s out of, we was getting close to 40 2x4s, 16 feet long out of it. And this was 1.5 inches by 3.5 and 1.5 inches by 5.5. And then we saw some 2x12s, which was 1.5 inches by 11.25. You know, they wanted them dimensional lumber. But yeah, you can rock and roll with it. If we're usually the homeowner or somebody helps us, and it picks it up way more than that. We can probably do 5,000 or 6,000 a day, you know, in 10 hours if we got somebody helping put logs up there, which the logs was stacked good, but they was just stacked on top of each other, and we couldn't roll them off and roll them onto the mill real good. So we had to take the little mini X and knock logs down and then drag them and position them just right and everything, because they'd roll a little crooked. But it's pretty efficient. I would really say we probably sawed 8 hours if you count out like me having to quit sawing and get on his little tractor, and my help had to ride on. He's got like a yard rake on the back of it. He had to ride on the back of it because we'd pick up the lumber and it pretty much wouldn't pick it up off the mill. All I could do was roll it back, and then I'd back off and it would pick the front end up near about rub the ground. But he's like me, weighs about 240 or something, like 220, 240, I don't know, something like that. And he'd ride on the back way back there, and it was just enough weight to keep us on the ground, but we was still floating a little bit. Then we'd push it over the pile, and we had to off stack it. So if we had a couple people to help do that, and I could just keep sawing, yeah, we can easily get 5,000 or 6,000 board feet, you know, because I mean, you take 10-20 minutes an hour to unload lumber and get logs and all. That adds up, you know. 10-hour day and probably really only cut 8 maybe. That's pretty good sawing. So don't underestimate. That's a lt40Y with a command station. If I had it to do over again, I'd buy another one or buy a 50. I think I'd like a 50 for the chain roller and the vertical backstops, but I mean, I like the 40 for the money. I mean, plus you get a little faster hydraulics and all with a 50, but I mean, I'm happy with it. And I ain't had anybody that I went and sawed for when we got done, it was like, I feel cheated by sawing by the hour. And I've increased my rates. I was at $100. Now I've gone to 120, and we're also starting to charge trip charges and all that on there. I'm gonna charge 120 minimum for a trip. I don't care if you're 10-20 miles down the road, or if you're over an hour, I'm gonna charge you 120 per hour. So like an hour and a half would be, what's that, 180 bucks, you know, the trip. And if we go 2 days, you're going to get charged $180 each day. That's not just a one-time thing. Every day we drive down there. So everything we do is usually within an hour or two, but that drive time eats you up on having to pay your help to ride. So keep that in mind if you do this. But here's some snippets of that, so enjoy.